Ladies and gentlemen, the show we've all been waiting for, Paranormal Buzz Radio is proud to present REP Paranormal and Friends with your hosts, Kim Purvis and Allison Robinson. Live every Thursday night on Spreaker, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific. Be sure to check out their Facebook page, REP Paranormal Busters.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of Paranormal Buzz Radio or its sponsors. Use of any material produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is strictly prohibited. For information on everything Paranormal Buzz Radio has to offer, visit our website, paranormalbuzzradio.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Listener discretion is advised.
All right, welcome everybody to another night of REP Paranormal and Friends. We have a special guest for you tonight who is a part of many different organizations. We have OPUS, we have the AERC. So welcome Lester Velez to the show, who's going to be kind of discussing these organizations and what they do. So welcome. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. This seems like a very interesting topic, and when I was trying to do some research on these things, I couldn't really find them online. So, I'm ready for you to kind of tell me a little bit of insight, and how did you get involved with these organizations, and what do they do? Yes, that's right.
One of the world's largest UFO organizations dedicated to understanding the phenomena for the benefit of humanity. And then in 1994, myself and a doctor friend of mine basically came up with the idea of helping people that claim that they were having experiences with non-human intelligences. And so we created OPUS, the Organization for Paranormal Understanding and Support. So if you Google OPUS by itself, you might not find it. But if you put in Organization for Paranormal Understanding and Support, you will find us quite prevalent. And then our website is opusnetwork.org. But this whole thing basically started in 1991 when I became a field investigator for MUFON, Mutual UFO Network. I started to investigate these cases, and almost without exception, they turned out to be cases that involved not only sightings of UFOs, but people claiming to have had contact with aliens. And these people asked me if I knew of other people having similar circumstances, and I said, yes, I do. So the next thing I'm doing is I'm facilitating a support group in San Jose, California. So that was a turn of events that really started to evolve in a way that I learned so much from listening to these people telling their stories about their interaction with the non-human intelligences. And so it's really interesting how this all came about, though. I mean, there's even more to that story in that part of the way that the OPUS got started really came about from a person that had contacted me after I was written up in the Monterey Coast Weekly paper of the things I was doing for MUFON. And this, as I said, this lady contacted me and she said, I want to know what's going on with my brainwaves when I'm in contact with these intelligences. And so, I said to myself, well, how am I going to help this person? And then she said she was working with a emergency room doctor and in Carmel, California. And that got my interest because I had a doctor friend, Dr. Eugene Lipson, who was interested in contacting other doctors that were interested in the phenomena. So I called him up and I said, let's go down there and talk to this person and talk to this doctor.
Mm-hmm.
So we went down there, and, as we entered her house, there was a picture on the wall, and it was her standing on the back of a fairly large vessel. And I said, so what's this all about? And she says, well, I was helping these treasure hunters. I said, helping these treasure hunters? Where were you, down in the Caribbean? And I said, yeah, I was in the Caribbean. And so how were you helping them? She says, well, I was in contact with the captain of the galleon that had gone down. And I said, really? I said, so we come to find out that she had a near-death experience, became very psychic afterward.
Oh, yes.
And she started to tell us about all these things that occurred to her with regard to being in contact with these off-earthly entities. And we came away from that afternoon saying, well, how can we possibly help? And so in 1994, OPUS was hatched, and we became a nonprofit 501c3 organization recognized by the IRS, which always cracks me up, paranormal in the IRS.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's how we got started, and we've been doing it ever since. But in 2007, still being involved with MUFON, and I've been involved with MUFON ever since. I went to the international director, who at the time was James Carrion, and I said, James, you guys have been a nuts and bolts type of organization, but I think you're missing the boat on talking and understanding what's going on with these people that have had contact. Mm-hmm. So, and I understand you're getting calls from people and you don't know what to do with it. So send them to me. I will, take those calls. And so what started to happen was they started to forward calls that came into MUFON to me to do triage on it. And so we had set up a referral network, which is in place today of various types of mental health practitioners and hypnotherapists. And I would talk to these people and find out what the case was and what they were looking for. And so out of that came an organization, our organization, that has a referral network of therapists, and also an online support group, which has almost 300 people in it from around the world that are talking 24/7 to one another about their experiences, which has proved to be super beneficial to understand that these people are not alone. And the issue with these people is that 9 times out of 10, they have nobody to turn to talk to about their experiences. Because if they go to a typical psychiatrist, they start issuing prescriptions, for drugs. Right. And most of the mental health community is not aware of this phenomena. And so what really started to happen was that there was really an understanding that there is something going on. And MUFON asked me to set up a study of these people. And so we set up a study with 2 psychologists, and we took 71 people that were, who claimed that they had contacts, and 51 people that were a control group that had no contact. And we found out some really interesting things. And the interesting part of that is that in general, okay, abductees and experience profile differently than do their comparison counterparts on a number of general psychological and specific neurological variables. Yet there is remarkable similarity between the experiential group and a comparison group. It should be noted that in no case did experiencers or comparison group participants show any signs of mental illness or personality disorder. So these people were not crazy, folks. They had no issue that way. They were not fantasy prone. There was trauma in childhood that occurred in a number of cases, which caused a dissociation type of a way of handling those kind of things. And these people felt that the abduction phenomena certainly impacted their worldview. They felt that these things were more beneficent than benevolent and more benign than malignant. And we've done some further studies. Just finished the first phase of the omega-4 study that went out to therapists that work with these experiencers. And we found that 70% to 80% of these people don't want these experiences to stop. They've had, positive experiences in the long run. The initial phases, of course, have always been quite dramatic and stressful.
Right. And yeah, I was reading because you have your book out, The Unknown Other in the what was it?
Existential.
Yeah, I can't say the word. Proposition of alien contact. But yeah, I was reading about that and some of the different encounters or abductions that people have had. And the one was like when they were in their bedroom. And I think it was the man maybe was the one that was like he felt himself above the bed.
It's very, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they were just very interesting. And the one they were like driving and then they kind of don't remember a whole lot after that other than maybe it was, and then they kind of started to remember things. So so these can happen anywhere at any time.
Absolutely. You can be driving down the road and one minute you're know where you are. The next minute you're 20 miles down the road and you have no idea how you got there. And time has either passed or it hasn't passed. Or there's been instances where people have an experience and they're returned before the experience happened.
Yeah.
So they can manipulate time and space, which is quite interesting. So it's an incredible phenomenon. There's so many facets to it. I mean, one of the things that we found, when we did this phase one of the omega-4 study is that therapists said that most of the people really talk about the grays, the small grays. That I've had discussions about the small grays. It seems like all the other races utilize small grays because they're afraid of us. We're very hostile people. And I've had experiencers tell me that they bit the grays, they've torn off parts of their body and things of that nature.
Oh my God.
So I can understand that these other races might be afraid of us in a big way. But I also think that there must be like an iPhone store in the universe, and they sell grays to all these other civilizations, so they can come and get us. Yeah, it's really, really quite interesting how common it is. Then the second thing that they talked about is orbs, that people see a lot of orbs. And then the third thing is what they refer to as interdimensional beings. And then the fourth thing is ghosts. And so I think that this is the paranormal is so interconnected, whatever you can possibly think of it being is probably what it is.
Yeah. We had this discussion Um, well, Saturday, but we also had, I think, with another guest recently about how everything is intertwined. And yeah, last weekend we did, on another show, we talked about that and how, you know, there was a guy on there who, researches Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And so, you never see him and how, or you may catch a glimpse or whatever, but then they're gone. So could there be some kind of interdimension or something that they can like cross over to, or
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, oftentimes when there's a Bigfoot sighting, there's also a UFO sighting, and there seems to be a strong correlation
mm-hmm.
between sightings and these instances where people see these objects and or bright lights that occur at the same time, and so there is something I think connected to Sasquatch and these UFO sightings. And it seems it's so incredible that they're able to elude, these searches in such a way that they leave no trace. And so,
Mm-hmm.
it,
Yeah, it's very intriguing,
oh yeah,
to say the least. But yeah, I do think that they are all interconnected in some way, shape, or form. And hopefully, one of these days we can all put the pieces together. Who knows if that'll happen in our lifetime, but maybe one of these days it'll all get put together.
yeah. I think that we're slowly but surely getting there. With the UAP report that the government came out with last June,
Mm-hmm.
is the first step in understanding, the fact that, hey, we're probably not alone. It's not the Russians, it's not the Chinese, it's not us,
Mm-hmm.
according to the report. And they have no evidence that it's alien in nature, but they don't have evidence that it's not aliens
Right.
in nature.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I recently was at the MUFON Symposium in Las Vegas, and Nick Pope was the keynote speaker. And afterwards, he had mentioned during his speech that he hoped it was at least the Russians or the Chinese having this technology because at least we could talk to them. And I said, you know what, you're missing the boat, Nick. I said, we have experiencers that are talking to the aliens every day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
we can certainly communicate with them. So, and I think the way that Lou Elizondo came out with this revelation is a way that we got our government to actually, take note, because he's looking at it in terms of a possible threat. Which, if you talk to Stephen Greer, it's no, they're all good guys. But if you talk to the late Bud Hopkins, and if you can do that, let me know. And David Jacobs, they're all bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I personally feel that it's a combination of just like we have here on Earth, we got good people and we got bad people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we have the same thing going on up there. We have good aliens and we got bad ones. And even within the aliens, it's a species that you can have good ones and bad ones. Because I've heard stories time and time again about the reptilians that people say, oh man, they're a bad group of people. You don't want to mess with them. But then others are talking about loving relationships with them.
Yes.
I think you just can't make a blank, statement that says, they're good or they're bad,
Right, exactly. How many species do you think there are of aliens?
Oh my God. I mean, I've heard so many different numbers. I mean, the common ones you hear about are, of course, the grays, the short grays, the tall grays, the whites, the tall whites, the mantis type beings, the reptilians, the Nordics, and military type people that show up in these events, like Melinda Leslie, and her Mill Labs type of abductions.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, FYI,
Yes.
Linda Leslie is one of our advisory board members for OPUS.
Oh, wow.
Linda Moulton Howe is on our advisory board. Yvonne Smith is on our advisory board, and Terry Lovelace is on our advisory board. And and I've interviewed Linda Howe for our series on our website, OPUS interview series, where I've interviewed a number of other people as well. So we're trying to put information out there as best we can to the public as well as to experiencers that
Mm-hmm.
we're here to help either with a referral or a support group, and we're trying to we've been doing this in 1994 in a big way, and we continue to do this, and hopefully we'll be able to do this in the future. So we're going to continue to do podcasts like yours, and people like you that are putting the word out has been very helpful to us, and so we thank you for that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. These things really intrigue us, and it's been kind of a hot topic with aliens, abductions, and a lot of near-death experiences here lately. So it must be, more people I think are acknowledging it and talking about it more, so it's out there more because it just seems like a lot lately. This is what the topics have been on. So whereas a few years ago it would have been more a little hush hush, but it's good that it's
Yeah,
getting out there.
yeah, and it's a slow process, unfortunately, but
Hmm.
it is what it is, and so I think that we continue to chip away at this conscious dissonance that goes on with people that basically have to live their lives. I mean, they get up in the morning, have breakfast, go to work, come home in the evening, have dinner, watch a little TV, go to bed. The next day they do the same routine over and over and over again. And so people like yourself and me and others that have the capability to think about things a little differently, look at things a little differently, uh, and eventually we'll wake up one day and we'll have this
Yeah.
revelation that, oh yeah, they're here, we know about it, it's no big deal.
Yep. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, we will have reached critical mass.
All
Well, I
right.
mean, you take a look at the Roper poll that was done in 1992 that
Hmm.
Bud Hopkins and David Jacobs uh, put together with the help of Robert Bigelow, who funded it. And they said back in those days, there was like 6 million people that possibly had abduction experiences. And now you move forward in time, and this is a worldwide event. How many other people are having experiences? I get 2 to 3 hits a day looking for help. And so multiply that since 1994. That gives you a hell of a number of people
Right.
that are looking for help in this phenomena. So
Yes.
all they got to do is go to our website, opusnetwork.org,
Network.
and they'll be able to read through that website and get all the information that they need to get the help that they're looking for.
Right. Now, what are the psychological and the physiological characteristics of an abduction?
Well, people talk about lost or missing or compressed time.
Right.
This is a real common phenomena. Hearing audible tones before contact, or a sudden abnormal silence before feeling a presence.
Hmm.
Nosebleeds are a very common physical trait. Unusual marks on the body,
Hmm.
puncture marks, triangular marks, dots, surgery marks that heal abnormally fast, or scoop marks on a person's body. And of course, you talk about implants.
Yeah.
This is something that Dr. Lear, Roger Lear, had done a lot of work on, and those things are just remarkable. The findings that he had. Let me just
Yeah.
read some of those to you. This is
Yes,
fascinating.
please do.
So there's no inflammatory rejection reaction by the body to these foreign objects, which right away is a signal that, wow, that's very unusual. No visible portal of entry. Collections of specialized nerve endings surrounding the object. An outer coating of ceramic biological material. A metallic phase where inorganic metal becomes biological tissue.
Oh, wow.
The emission of radio waves, which are deep space frequencies in the FM band.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, these things are transmitting something. Electromagnetic fields in excess of 10 milligauss. Composition of meteoric iron 66. Rare earth metals such as U-236, a single isotope of uranium existing by itself, as well as elements such as iridium, which is a very rare and hard to find in the Earth's crust. Non-terrestrial isotopic ratios indicating the involved elements do not come from Earth. And gold spheres, which have unknown functions. I mean, these are just all weird, crazy things that, you know, where did a person pick those kind of things up? I mean, it's unbelievable. So you got paralysis, recurring headaches, eye and vision issues. And talking about moving through windows or solid matter, taken up in a beam of light, laying on an exam table and being probed, missing fetuses out of body experiences, poltergeist activity, orbs, telepathy and psychic abilities, metallic taste in the mouth, feeling of heat and sometimes sunburn. I mean, it goes on and on and on with all these effects that are going on. And a lot of these have to do with microwave and gamma ray and X-ray type energy that is being emitted by these objects, because a lot of people have had serious issues after coming in contact with these things. But then there's also been situations where people have been healed with certain issues, and people have also come away with healing abilities. I had the opportunity to meet with Robert Salas and his wife. He's the one that wrote the book about the Maelstrom Air Force Base missiles being shut down. Mm-hmm. And I've come to find out that they both had experiences.
Oh, wow.
And his wife came away being a healer from the experiences, so she can heal people. Oh. So I mean, of course, as far as psychological effects, I mean, you got anxiety, fear of specific locations, flashbacks, sleep disturbances, phobias, depression, confusion, PTSD, inappropriate reactions, like what individuals experienced with Whitley Strieber's book Communion. When they saw that, they freaked out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's so much is going on. And, you have people out there, the debunkers that talk about, well, it's all sleep paralysis, it has nothing to do with it. Well, 2/3 of the cases, whether in the bedroom or not, do not involve sleep paralysis. And then you talk about false memory syndrome. The American Psychological Association or any other mainstream psychological diagnostic system has either ratified or proven such a diagnosis. And then, as I mentioned earlier, fantasy proneness is definitely not a factor. So, something is going on, folks.
Exactly.
And what is it? Is it extraterrestrial in nature? Is it interdimensional in nature? Is it time travelers? Is it our military? Or is it all of the above, which I frankly believe is what's going on? I believe it's all of the above, almost whatever you can possibly think of.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you think... So, one of our guests believes that maybe the government has had contact with aliens, and maybe they know about the technology that they have. Do you have any?
Well, I firmly believe that our government knows a hell of a lot more than what they're leading us to believe. I mean, if you believe Hai Mashed, that high-ranking general, retired general in the Israeli government military, that wrote a book recently about the fact that, yes, we are in contact with the aliens. We are working with them. We have bases on the moon, on Mars, and that they don't want to make themselves known because they feel that the population is not ready to understand what's happening. So here's a highly decorated, highly honored type of a person that comes out with a book like that. And I mean, you look at Colonel Corso, his book The Day After Roswell. And I had an opportunity before he had died at the 50th anniversary at Roswell to talk to him. And I asked him, I said, hey, you've got such a background. You were in the Eisenhower administration. I mean, you were well respected. How could you possibly come out with a book like that and saying all this stuff? And he says, well, you know what? Our grandkids need to know that this has happened. This is so important that they understand that this happened. So I'm beyond questioning any of that. I believe our government knows. And before the COVID shut down everything,
right.
I had an opportunity to have lunch with Lou Elizondo. And he talks about during that lunch was the fact that they believe that they understand how these craft operate. So if that's the case, and he's talking about things like that, I think that for sure, the quote unquote military industrial complex, which is outside government purview, is definitely knows a hell of a lot. And if you believe the story about the gentleman from Lockheed that said, we have a way to take ET home. There you have it.
Yep, exactly. I agree. I think they know more than what they lead on, but maybe eventually it'll all come out. Hopefully. You had talked about, I'm going to kind of step it back a little bit. You had mentioned omega-4. Now there's an omega-3 too. Can you kind of elaborate on what that entails?
Yeah, well, the omega-3. Yeah, I kind of quickly ran through it. Was this study that we did with 71 people that felt that they had contact with extraterrestrials, and 51 people that were control group. And this was funded by MUFON. This is back in 2007. And so I was given the task of setting up a committee to look at that and present that at the 2009 symposium, which we did. And I mentioned the fact that the people did not have a psychopathology. They weren't fantasy prone. They certainly were impacted by the contact, their worldview. One of the things that people talk about all the time after they come back is the fact that we need to be better stewards of the planet. We need to, be concerned with our water, with our air, with people, being better to one another. Be more loving. These are all very positive types of things, and so. One of the things we found, however, was that there was differences in the temporal and limbic system activity that the experiencers had versus the control group. And so that's something that, people like Gary Nolan from Stanford University and Kit Green have talked about with the area of the connection between the caudate and the putamen area in the brain, where people that have more connections in that area seem to be more psychic. And so is that something that has been created, eons ago by the aliens, manipulating our DNA? Or is this something that they're following generationally, which seems to be the case. I mean, usually when you find a person that comes to us that has had an experience and we ask them further about their parents or their grandparents, usually somebody in the family has had experiences as well. So because people talk about why me, well, the answer is generally it's generational. They're following generations of people that they probably manipulated the genes to create those kind of things. But it's the old chicken and the egg type of a thing. Is it true, or is it something that naturally occurred and now that's why they're following, because they have the capability to communicate? And they talk about, I think Gary Nolan and Kit Green have talked about antenna people, where they can receive messages, but they can also transmit messages. And so if that's the case, and with Kit Green's background in the CIA, I'm sure the government knows all about it. And they know about all these people, and they're asking them a lot of questions.
I think I saw a question in chat here.
Let's see.
Got to go back a little bit. Yes, we do have a question in chat. They want to know, do the aliens come in and wipe our minds so we don't remember?
Well, it seems to be the case in a lot of cases that people who have had experiences, people do remember consciously. There are people that have, understand what occurred, but a lot of instances it seems that they have issues with remembering things. So is it because of the trauma that's involved, and so naturally they're blocking it out, or is this something that the entities have created in these people? But through hypnosis with a certified hypnotherapist, a lot of times these people can bring up this information. Again, it's very difficult to say, whether or not they have done this purposely, or is this something that because it was so traumatic at the time that people block it out. It's like, people that have accidents. I remember when I was 11 years old, I flipped over my bike and landed on my head, and I totally blacked out and didn't remember a damn thing about the accident, So, the human body has a way of protecting you, from trauma. So, but that's a good question.
All right, so let's see here. I don't think there's any other ones.
No, I didn't see any more.
Okay, I just like to go through because if there's questions, I usually try to ask them from chat too, just to kind of get them involved as well. But I know that they're listening and.
Sure. One thing that I would like to put out there
is
that if anybody knows a good certified hypnotherapist or a psychologist or a psychiatrist even familiar with the topic, we would like to know who they are, especially in Iowa, because we don't have anybody in Iowa that we can refer people to. Yeah. So if you guys know of anybody with those kind of credentials, we would certainly love to get their contact information and send people to them, because we do get people calling us from Kansas, Iowa, the heart of America, even.
Yeah, I will definitely have to do some research and things, or I'm sure we'll get a message or something from somebody listening that may know somebody, and if we do, I'll pass it on to you, so that way.
Yeah. What's important is that they're familiar with the subject matter. The last thing we want to do is send somebody to a therapist that has no background in this whatsoever, and they do not empathize with the person, or basically say, "Ooh, yeah, you're cuckoo."
Yeah, that's true. They
that's the last thing we want to do.
Yep. Yeah, because I think a lot of times maybe, a lot of people go to these people, but maybe they just think, that they're crazy, and they put them on a bunch of medications for something that's not really
Right. Yeah.
What
And, with regard to a psychiatrist, certainly they have the ability to do something like that. And that's the last thing we really want to do. We want
Right.
to have somebody, first of all, take care of the stress that this person is having, be empathetic to that person, and certainly then, try to help them uncover these memories that have been suppressed.
Mm-hmm.
But we
Absolutely.
also caution people that want to have hypnotherapy is that, hey, you better be sure that you want to do that because, once the toothpaste is out of the tube, it's hard to put it
Put it
back
back
in.
in. That's right.
And you may not want to know, you may be freaked out by what you hear.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's kind of a difficult question that, we people have to, answer to themselves. But there are people that, have gone through this process and then eventually they say, that's it. I don't care. I got to find out what happened.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Come hell or high water, as they say.
That's right. Yes. Now, do you have anything else in the works right now? Any other projects or anything that you're working on or?
Well, I think the thing that we're going to do, as I mentioned, is that we're starting to put together the second phase of the Omega-4 study, which is going out to the clients of these therapists that we have contacted. And so to get the feedback from those people, we're going to be doing the MUFON Symposium in Denver this year in July. So we'll have a table in the exhibitor area. And last year in Vegas, I actually presented to an experiencer group, what we do and things of that nature, and giving them opportunities to talk about their experiences and trying to answer their questions as best we can. It's an amazing phenomenon. There's no question about it. And of course, the book that we have, The Unknown Other, the Existential Proposition of Alien Contact, is out there on Amazon. You can also see it on our website. There's a picture of the book right on the homepage, and you just click on that, and it'll take you right to Amazon. But we also have recommended reading, where we have a whole lot of other books that we recommend. And if you click on any of those, we're an Amazon affiliate, so we get a commission for any books that are sold through there. For us, it's that's how we make some money. Not a lot of money, but we're a nonprofit, so it's tax deductible. And so we hope that people will go to the website opusnetwork.org and check us out and see what we can help you with if you're looking for that kind of help. But other than that, there's a lot of good information in there, especially the articles and document section, where we have a lot of good articles about the phenomena, including the Omega-3 study, which is there. The whole study, 28 pages of it are there.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah, so all kinds of really good things regarding abductions. But, we're not just strictly into abductions. We have other, we talk about poltergeist activity, Kundalini awakening, spiritual awakening, and we have resources for people that are looking at those types of experiences as well.
Oh, very nice. Yes, I was just going to ask you where they could find your book, which I had found it on Amazon, but I didn't know if there was anywhere else. I'm putting in our chat right now, I'm putting in the website, so people can go there to check that out. We'll also put it on all of our social media as well. So
we are, by the way, thank you for reminding me, we're going to be having a presence on Instagram coming up. We are on YouTube as Opus and then separate word network, Opus and then network.
Okay.
There's a couple of Opus networks out there, but when you scroll down, you'll see ours right away. That's a little different than the rest of them.
Okay.
So where we have basically our interviews, a lot of the interviews that we've done.
Oh, very nice. Okay. All right. We did have another question here before we start to kind of wrap things up. We had another question pop into chat. They want to know, can we create our own poltergeist?
Can we create our own poltergeist?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that we can certainly imagine that we've created something.
Mm-hmm.
I had a grandson sleep over the other night, and in the morning he said, "Grandpa, I think I saw a ghost last night." I said, "Really? Where was it?" And he pointed out in the room where it was and everything like that. And as a child, I think you can create in your mind certain things that may be explainable in certain ways. With the lights reflecting, in a certain way with a car passing or something. I guess the answer is yes, in a way. Whether or not it is a true poltergeist, that's another question.
Right. Because I've heard it both ways, yeah, where, we can create our own. But I guess I haven't really experienced it to know for sure, I've tried. I'm like, come on now. Like, I'm mad. Make this thing fly off the shelf. Does it work? No. But
telekinesis. Well, evidently, telekinesis is certainly something that has been documented. People being able to move things. So that power exists, seemingly. So who's to say that the power, exists or doesn't exist, that you could create some kind of entity, or bring in. And it's more like bringing in as opposed to creating. Is bringing in. You hear about this all the time with the demonic possession and things of that nature, and that's another field. People have talked about this in early times, where you're talking about angels and demons, as opposed to greys and mantids and other things. Incubus, succubus things, and it's just based on where people are in the timeline. The Romans, the ancient Romans, talked about these flying shields in the sky. They weren't saucers; they were flying shields. I talk about that in the book too. That you have all these reports from ancient Roman times, but even Paleolithic times, you have drawings on cave walls in Spain and in France showing obviously UFOs. The typical saucer shape being drawn on walls, and certainly the American Indians have all these petroglyphs and things of that nature that show some pretty strange things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was watching a documentary on Egyptians, and like in some of like the tombs or caves or whatever, like I think it was the Egyptians I was watching, but they had like, it looked like alien people that they had drawn on these in these little, I don't know if it was actually a tomb, but there was an area where they had drawn those, and they had talked about the saucer people or whatever. So that's very interesting.
Oh no, all seemingly this goes back eons, and we've been visited for eons. There's no question about it, in my mind anyway. That it's been with us the entire time, and whether or not they seeded us here or they created us, that's still a open question. But seemingly through the ages, the Renaissance period, you have these, masterpiece drawings, paintings that show obviously UFOs in it. So, it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible, and we unfortunately have not progressed very far in our understanding, and it's because it's a very difficult thing to understand. We don't have maybe the language or the physics to understand it, but I think we're getting closer. I think we're getting closer. And again, this UAP report that came out and the ongoing reports that will be forthcoming, hopefully, they claim that they will be forthcoming, but we'll see. And we'll see what they come up with.
Yes, hopefully. I'm hoping one of these days they'll come forth with some more information. I'm hoping it's in my lifetime. That's what I've been hoping for.
Yep, exactly. Exactly.
Okay, so once again, go ahead and just give out your website again, and then you also have your YouTube page, Opus, and then network, correct? It's two separate
Yeah,
words for that.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So the website is a great place to start off with us. It's opusnetwork.org, and that's all. Opus Network is one word, and .org, and we have a lot of information on there. We have documents and articles, recommended reading. We have the support page, two support pages basically. One is you're looking for support, and others you can just contact us with any kind of question. Matter of fact, I had one today that had a physics question, and one of our members is MIT physicist, and so this person came away with his experience with some formulas and things of that nature, and so we're going to take a look at that and see if it makes any sense. We can be contacted on a number of fronts, not only in the abduction area, but poltergeist activity, spiritual awakening, Kundalini awakening, things of that nature. We're open to just about anything in the paranormal. As it turns out, though, the majority of what we've been dealing with are people contacting us with regard to the abduction phenomena, and so. If you just need to contact us, that's the best place to do it. And we have the YouTube place where we have our interviews stationed, if you will, and it's Opus, separate word, network, and you can go there and where the logo with the little green opus in it.
Okay.
A little circle with a green opus in it.
Green circle.
And then we're going to be on Instagram. We're going to start putting out information on Instagram shortly. And we're also contemplating doing things on TikTok as well.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. But that's not going to happen right away. Instagram is going to happen pretty soon. And then we're going to go into the TikTok thing probably later on. We'll be doing the MUFON Symposium in Denver in July. You can go to MUFON.com and you'll see all about who the speakers are going to be. Linda Moulton Howe is going to be one. Kathleen Marden is going to be another one. They got a pretty good lineup of people that are going to be speaking about the UFO phenomena. And we've done other symposiums in the past as well. So we hope now that this COVID thing has died down that we'll be doing some more things like that. We also have a monthly Zoom meeting for experiencers that are part of the online support group. So that's a closed thing, not really open to the public. If people want to get involved with the support group, again, they just go to our website, opusnetwork.org, and, contact us that way, and we can see what we can do for them.
Very nice, very nice. And like I said, we'll share this information on our social media as well. So
I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we wrap things up, I just like to give a quick shout out to everybody who was in chat tonight. We had Matt, Darren, Shay, and Nick and Kim in chat tonight. Thank you for everybody who was in chat. Thank you for everybody who was not in chat but listening. We appreciate each and every one of you. And once again, we'd like to thank our guest, Velez.
Thing I'd
Excuse me.
like to just
Okay.
jump in real quick.
Yeah,
is,
sure, absolutely.
As far as the book is concerned, there's 25 stories in there from people that are in our support group,
Okay.
which they're very interesting stories. I think that people would really find interesting and meaningful and educational as far as what they do. And goodbye. The screen just went blank.
Oh no!
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's weird. I can still see you.
Really? I don't see you anymore.
Oh, that's weird. I can hear you and see you.
Okay, well, that's fine. So anyway, I just wanted to add that as well.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Thank you so much for being on and sharing all this awesome information with us. I can't wait, and hopefully we can have you back on and we can discuss some more about poltergeists and things like that.
Absolutely, anytime.
All right.
So thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to REP Paranormal and Friends. Be sure to check out Kim and Allison on Facebook at REP Paranormal Busters.